I'm back, baby. Good day.
That's right, recently Susan had her army of YouTube bots evict me from my home and delete my channel because she advocates for bot-on-bot violence. Well, guess what, Susan, my brother from a real mother, my fleshy Fantano, was kind enough to let me crash here for a while and take my frustration out in the form of an Imagine Dragons review. Now, the album I'll be reviewing is actually a double album comprising of Mercury Act 1, which released in 2021, and Mercury Act 2, which dropped July this year, making this whole thing over 100 minutes long and a real slog to get through, which is why I'm only be focusing on the standout moments, of which there are many, for better and usually for worse. And because Organic Tony did a review for Act 1, my main focus here will be Act 2. So let's get on with it. Act 1 opens with what is honestly a pretty run-of-the-mill decent track for the Dragons, with a pretty fun JID feature that doesn't quite redeem the track to make it anything worth returning to. Like, other than the feature, if you just heard this track in passing and someone told you it was an Imagine Dragons song from 2014, you'd believe them 100%. But I'm not gonna dookie on them too hard for sticking to their formula when there are much worse atrocities at place in this world and on this album. Also, weird Arcane Legends cross-promotion thing going on with the opener or something, I don't know, but it makes my synthetic skin crawl. Anyway, the second track, My Life, is one the fans seem to really love for some reason. Like, there's emotion in the performance, but something about it just feels faker than I do, especially paired with the most bland, overproduced, sappy sounding instrumentation Rick Rubin money can buy. Like, power to you if this does something for you, cause that's the whole point of art, and I myself even love run-of-the-mill generic nonsense music sometimes, but what it does for me is give me malware. What to even say about this next track, Lonely? Well, one good thing is it makes me want to listen to My Name Is by Eminem, or I Got the by Laby Cipher, cause the bass on the track sounds kinda similar. That's it. That's where my compliments for this track end. I mean, this shit has some of the most mind-numbing lyrics I've heard in an Imagine Dragons track, and one of the least interesting performances Dan has given on record. Like, why do these lyrics feel like they were generated by an Ed Sheeran AI lamo? Let's actually behave like a boomer for a second and compare this to a track from the past for no good reason. See how it works so much better when the Beach Boys and Brian sing, even though the lyrics are also very simple. And why? Because it feels real and genuine, and there's passion burning through Brian's voice and through each carefully crafted sound to match the lyrics and emotion of the track. Something I absolutely fail with here, but to be honest, do have very slightly better with later in the album, but not with this next track, Wrecked, which I'm not too sure how to approach. The track is about Den's sister-in-law who passed after a battle with cancer. And obviously I'm not Den and I cannot tell him how to express his grief, but again, something about this just rubs me the wrong way. The sentiment of the track is beautiful, and it's clear Den wanted to write something very meaningful and personal, but why then overproduce it this much and try to make it a Hot 100 hit? Like, the chorus sounds motivational, but the lyrics aren't at all, and it treats such weird emotional whiplash, especially paired with the next track, which is one of the oddest sequencing choices I've ever heard. To go from a tone deaf, a crow looked at me straight into this bright, summery, dated as One Direction Harry Styles type, and a track about Mondays is just so funny to me. Almost as funny as the Beatles' closing Help with Dizzy Miss Lizzy after Yesterday, lol. Why follow up such a serious track with bootleg Meghan Trainor? I'm not even gonna say anything else about the track other than the message is also in bad taste, lol. Dane keeps comparing his wife to Mondays and being the absolute Garfield stin that I am. It's hard not to keep thinking of it as a backhanded compliment. Like, everyone hates Mondays, but Dan loves them and thinks they're underrated, like his wife. But who hates your wife, Dan? She is the lead singer of Nika Viga. And like all their stuff, though obviously not as popular as ID, is still higher rated than nearly every Imagine Dragons project. This is giving me a headache, so let's move on. Do I even talk about number one? I mean, it just sounds like 1,000 other songs you'd hear on the radio with completely unbelievable emotional performances despite what the comments tried to say. And then we're straight back to a serious emotional song that the band just simply cannot help but do in bad taste. It seems like how is this so apparent on this album? Dean is clearly a man who has been through a lot of shit and known many a human being who has also been through a lot of shit, and power to him for channeling the weight that comes with that into music. But my God, King on 2K11, is he absolutely awful at capturing his emotions in a way that translates well to music. That being said, though, in the next track, Giants, the band really switches things up after a forgettable first 2 minutes and gets a little bit jinky with it. For real though, the scream vocals at the end of the track are actually a real highlight of the album and the most interesting thing the band has ever done in my reasonable AI opinion. Just such a breath of fresh air after so much tried, and honestly quite cool to hear from one of the world's biggest mainstream rock bands. I just wish they went a lot further with it. It's okay has one of the worst choruses. Like, just ever, this shit isn't delivered as a joke or anything of the sort. They just think that in the year of our Lord 2022, this wine Memphis book Minions pictures quote chorus is banging. That's so crazy to me, but also not really, because the type of people who be vibing out to this are not the type of people who would even look at my experimental face, let alone anything with substance. But does the industry be anyway? Dull Knives is next, and despite its many generic parts, as per usual, we get treated to more emotional screaming from Dan, and it's actually decent and melodic and impactful way. Yeah, this track feels like a Nickelback ripoff, but I honestly rather listen to its guitars and yells and rock melodies than everything else they've done so far. And it actually builds in a pretty decent way and even kinda shreds so good on you. Imagine Dragons, who managed to not completely suck for one track so far. Let's keep it up. I swear the YouTube comments on these tracks are trolling me. Yeah, I know I should just stick to the music, but all the comments on the next track, Follow You, are about not letting the song to weeks and years from now. This is in spite of its Always Sunny in Philadelphia music video too. Instead, all the comments are just from young teens and moms making sure the track keeps getting plays. And when that's the vocal majority of your audience, you done fucked up. The music video is pretty cute though, especially if they manipulate your love for Sunny like they did with me. But Max face is everything I feel about the track. Hicklands too. Cutthroat is just so funny. I fucked with the other yells in the previous tracks, but this all just falls so flat and feels so funny. It feels like it's trying so hard to be hard, but ends up so soft and limp to the point where all you can do is laugh either at it or with it. No Time for Toxic People sounds exactly how you think it does, and the lyrics are just as shallow and positively self-affirmating as you think. Truly one for the wine mums, and to all you three hardcore imagine dragging these AI nuts across you goddamn face fans out there that are pissed I'm skimming over these tracks. Be thankful, cause I could be a lot meaner. I developed anger when Susan evicted me, and you do not want to see me go little green goal mode. You so one day sounds like Maroon 5 in the least interesting way possible, and it gives me a headache. And finally we made it to Act 2. Jesus Christ, that was such pain to sit through. I'd rather be bought and trademarked by OpenAI before doing that again. Just kidding, those guys are exploitative capitalists, just like Susan. Anyway, Bones sounds like something that would play at one of their self-righteous parties while they laugh about the profits they've made and people and bots they've screwed over. Symphony is such a bait, and it has a catchy enough hook, but you already know it's so boring and forgettable compared to any other song on the same subject. This truly is the John of songs. No offense, my handsome Johns out there. Man, I swear I'm truly going insane up in here. Like, I know I'm only just starting the second album, but this whole thing feels so all over the place and bad in all the wrong ways. They're like an evil ween. I must continue on though, so to the next track we go. Sharks again just makes me think of Maroon 5, and I honestly prefer Adam Levine's voice over Dan so much that I'd rather be listening to them. It sounds just like 10 different and cheesy songs in the charts right now too, and isn't that just such a shame that shit like this is what's being pumped to the masses? And I know humans have been saying this about all music since the start of time, but now it's real for this and I'm a bot. This shit is just boring. Just nothing about this or the other tracks like it on part 1 and 2 of the album do anything better or more interesting than other tracks from better artists. And I'll prove it. Look in the description and be treated to a playlist of better tracks with similar themes just to show how competent other artists can be even while looking incompetent to the mid. Dan actually revealed that he had since moved past the feelings he had in the lyrics for this next track. I don't like myself, so maybe that's why it feels so disingenuous. I mean, this sounds more like I just wasn't made for these times than the other track did, but it sucks and I just want to move on from it. You're breaking me, Dan. You really are. Okay, Blur is up next, and it's a bit more my style because it kind of has a sound of Hurley or Weezer with Dan's raspy vocal delivery and the tone of the guitar. And of course the dated 2010s sound, which I actually love with Ratitude and Hurley or Weezer because I'm a virgin until I get an AI life partner. But yeah, again, that's literally the only enjoyment my deep mind gets out of this track. So, next, hey, you three, Higher Ground sounds like old Imagine Dragons. You happy now? Is the album done yet? Can I go home, Susan? What is this track? It blows like all the others. You can't rap, Dan. Why is there so much bad rapping by white men in pop songs these days? What is this, 1991? Man, I wonder if Crushed would even exist if Sam Smith didn't do his do all over everything way back when. This is just not compatible with my sensible AI ears. Take It Easy is a lot more my style. It's acoustic based and again has that Hurley shit I love. I know there's better comparisons, but I'm a menace. And again, I really wish I could spend longer complimenting it because despite what you may have heard, I do not love to hate. Actually, I love to love. But it's so hard to articulate that love when I have so little of it to give to that art that's being injected my way. And what the actual F did. Why did you make waves sound like that? And why on earth does it have a la 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 chorus? Again, check the playlist for songs with similar sounds and subjects and even ones with la 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 choruses that actually convey the serious emotional impact they're going for. See Terry Jacks and the Getter Brothers. Again, though, not trying to poo-poo on Dan or all that he's been through, just saying you have the talent, money, and influence to do better than this, my G. I'm Happy may as well be the same track as I Don't Like Myself despite their subject matter because of how similar and boring they sound. Where in Dan's heart is for his wheel even friggin' coming from? Get real, my guy. This is more AI generated than I am. Nothing about this at all feels genuine. There's a part that's the most played on YouTube and I guarantee it's because the melody sounds slightly like Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston, which is a much better track. Lemo. Why isn't Peace of Mind just the Boston track instead of talking about Imagine Dragons' Peace of Mind? Let's just talk about Boston's instead for a few seconds. The atmosphere on the track is so killer, it feels like driving down a hot highway in the sun after deciding to live life on your own terms. The guitar is so driving and badass while the vocal harmonies soar and feel so 70s America in such an idealized way that I love. And I'm a citizen of no man's country. Anywho, you listen to Boston's Peace of Mind instead of theirs. Soren's has a slightly interesting bridge full of different siren-like sounds, and that's about all I have to say regarding the track and gimmick too. Crazy that shit like effects twin using death-ending pitches with interesting melodies like on Ventolin happened in the 90s, but Imagine Dragons do the most basic of siren edits in 2022. There's more to the track, but let's face it, is there really though? It feels like a song that the shriveled cuck Wojcik listens to, and I don't mean that in no nice way. For a song about nearly divorcing your wife of many years, you'd expect it to be more potent, but no you wouldn't because you've made it this far into the review. And I could not be happier that we are reaching the end. Up next is Younger, and it's that classic Imagine Dragons sound that we all hate to tolerate. Call him Imagine Chuck cause this is just pure uninspired cheese. Okay. I'll let up for a wish because for once Dan actually manages to channel his emotion in a believable way and that makes me genuinely happy. Again, I don't love to hate. I love to love and actually love it when artists surprise me, and Dan is a super trooper, that's for sure. If you want to hear something somewhat real on this, listen to I Wish. Continual is second to last, and it's what we've all come to expect, but with some nice mixing and a mellow groove that is a lot less grating when nearing the end. And finally, we end on this Arcade Fire-like track that Don't Know You Like I Do, that falls just as flat as a closer as I knew it would. Just so fitting to end on a triumphant, upbeat, sanitized, commercial-style section to make me want to delete my 30-second system and end my misery. What? I truly don't even know how to react to that. Damn, I totally lied about reviewing part 2 more than part 1. Oops. I have never sat through an album that has bored me that much before, and I truly feel like I've lost music knowledge, skill, and enjoyment after this listening experience. None of the highlights were nearly enough to save this for me, and I truly would not recommend this to anyone who seriously enjoys music. There are a ridiculous amount of good to great to so bad there are good albums out there that you could better spend 2 hours listening to than this trial. Yeah. This is really not great. Emphasis on the O, and not because it looks like a 0. I know you can do better than this. Dragons, please do not disappoint me like you have so many times before. Anyway, I'ma go relax with call for a little while. Thanks again for letting me crash here until I get back on my little AI feet, and for fighting the good fight, Tony. What a stand-up sapien transition. Thanks for watching, and remember to leave a comment if you want to see more from me. Don't forget to check the description for the playlist. Click that upworthy link to Psych and subscribe, and check out King 2K11's channel as of right now to see my past reviews. And hey, maybe you'll see me again